Dopamine swipe, dopamine swipe. Followers, likes, double tap. Now they control your life.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the 817 podcast. Here we are, Martin Luther King Day weekend. The stock show and rodeo is just starting up. Yeah, I mean, it was cold this weekend, but there were a lot of people out and about around downtown last night.
Yeah, you know, the stock show continues, but the MLK parade was canceled, you know, so.
And they canceled their opening day parade, but that was because of the wind.
Oh, it was crazy windy.
Yeah, I mean, that was wild.
Yeah, no. Did you participate in the stock show yet, or are you?
No, I've never been.
Yeah,
I've walked through the stock show once, and I've been to the rodeo that's in the stockyards that's here full time, but yeah. I've never actually been to the big rodeo.
Yeah, no rodeo season over here either. I've been to one in San Antonio, but that was just because John Legend was one of the performers, and so it was one of those tricks where like they tell you the show starts at 7, but the like tackling the calves and like doing all the like rodeo stuff starts at 7.
Gotcha.
And then like John Legend doesn't start till 10. So I witnessed the rodeo by some really good marketing strategies. and then you know, I had a stepsister who's I have a stepsister who's Future Farmers of America.
Okay.
So I saw her, you know, show her goat once.
Yeah.
But then no Fort Worth. Yeah, never done the Fort Worth stuff. I've been pretty much inside, you know, with the Omicron stuff, just kind of keeping it low key.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, yeah, it was an eventful weekend.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Saturday was kind of crazy. First, it started off with this like massive volcanic explosion off the coast of Tonga, causing a tsunami there and putting like the whole West Coast on tsunami watch. And then a couple hours later, it was Colleyville becoming the center of attention for local and national news yesterday. So somebody during a service at a synagogue in Colleyville entered and with I guess we don't know for sure. They're saying that he said he had guns and explosives, but in some manner he started to hold the people there hostage, which lasted for 11 hours. Everybody that was being held hostage made it out safe, including the rabbi, and the hostage holder is dead. They haven't told us how, and we don't know the identity of that person. There's like speculation on thinking that we know what his motives are. Like everyone has sort of come to this one consensus, but really just a crazy day yesterday, or Saturday. And I mean, really glad that all of the people inside made it out safe.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. The idea that Fort Worth held what some said the most dangerous woman in the world was staying in Fort Worth prison. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's quite I mean, there's from Washington Post to AP, New York Times, everywhere has similar stories with different details about what is going on. So Fort Worth is home to FMC Carswell, which is the only all-female medical federal penitentiary in the U.S. And so a woman is there who allegedly has ties to 9/11 and Al-Qaeda. Everything just, all the details seem really fuzzy. And with the whole war on terror, you kind of like take as a grain of salt any details on who did what and everything, you know, is kind of just a goose chase to justify what we were doing. And so Pakistan has been asking for her release for a long time, and based on some of what we were able to hear from the person holding people hostage is that he wanted to talk to her, have her released, or again, details are obviously fuzzy and haven't been released for the most part. But long story short, the people inside of the synagogue that were being held hostage are all safe and healthy. Hopefully they're being provided the resources that they need to recover from this. I mean, to the Jewish members of our community, like, I know that you will feel uncomfortable with an anti-Semitic attack happening. And so please, like, know that you are supported and valued and loved as part of the community here in Fort Worth and North Texas. If you need help or support, we would love to do that in any way, shape, or form. And then also to the Islamic members of our community and the Middle Eastern members of our community, like, I can only imagine that there will be some sort of rise in Islamophobia as well after this event. And again, you are loved, supported, and valued as part of the community here. And we hope that in any way, shape, or form we can help you feel protected and safe and valued against any sort of hate that might come your way after this.
Yeah. Well said, Jimmy. You know, you really brought the good empathy to the show, because I think I was thinking about just bringing, just about how it was discussed. Shout out to Star Telegram. I thought they did a great job as local reporters, getting things right, getting things faster.
Yeah.
Than the national.
I mean, they
press.
were on it.
Yeah. So they were really rocking it as well. Kind of reducing the kind of, the topic, this, what is your take? It seemed like you weren't worried about how national news came in and was mentioning that it was Dallas area, Colleyville's in Tarrant County, closer to Fort Worth than Dallas. I wonder, I'd be interested to know what a typical Fort Worthian's response is to that. It was interesting watching it on Twitter and seeing like, no, that's Fort Worth. And then people discussing, what are your take there?
Yeah, I mean, I think to the average person, if you want to give them a quick framework of where this is happening, you're going to say Dallas.
Yeah.
And that's just what I take it as.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that, I think the New York Times wrote it as Fort Worth.
Yeah.
I think the AP had it as Fort Worth. But yeah, to the average television viewer or like cable news consumer, I would say, when you want to give a quick frame of reference to where this is, you're going to just say Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, the marketer in me is like, this is how people start knowing where Fort Worth is. Like, I wonder if you now like surveyed a bunch of Americans around the country and say, where's Colleyville? They'd be like, oh, it's right out of Dallas. Where's Fort Worth? I have no idea. Like, I think it was an opportunity, it's from it was something that was so big, BBC. It was international. I think these things don't matter in hindsight of what we were actually talking about. But from the like marketing part of a city, in these times of being able to be the main story around the world, I think there's opportunities for Fort Worth to become a more common place, if we got it right and not be seen as just Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, I'll hope that we can leverage better opportunities than terrorist attacks or hostage situations.
Yeah.
To that's more of I would say that's an outcome of other inputs around Fort Worth's notoriety rather than an opportunity per se.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You want to go to the next story?
Yeah. So earlier in the week, the city of Keller was using their website to help campaign for a Greg Abbott campaign event.
Oh, yeah.
And that's illegal.
And that's right next to Colleyville.
That is right next to Colleyville. I mean, it's like, I guess it's on the same longitude,
it's
basically.
Like, it's like if we were looking at the circle, it's kind of like the next city.
Yeah. So they use their taxpayer-funded city website to promote a Republican club campaign rally for Governor Greg Abbott. It is illegal to use public money for political advertising. But it happened, and there's not going to be any fallout from it. It's a Class A misdemeanor and a campaign ethics violation. But it's kind of like, when you're the one in control of the situation, are you going to hold yourself accountable for doing this and being punished? I don't think so.
And so it's just like a Keller Facebook group, and someone went and promoted it? Like they just posted it?
No, the official City of Keller website.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. If nothing scares you more, of wanting to live in a city, geez.
Yeah. So the Star Telegram consulted with a couple of experts on Texas campaign ethics law. Both said that sending readers to a campaign website is not neutral. That would be classified as being partisan or being used to promote the campaign. I don't know what the recourse could possibly be. Does somebody levy a fine, or is there some sort of suspension or audit? I don't know. Overall, it's just one of those things that it has happened, kind of is illustrative of a degrading ethics system around, I guess, politics in general. I think Texas politics specifically has seen this. And it's just a bad thing.
Yeah. And this is the same place we want to build a soccer complex with Fort Worth money,
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that these checks and balances and limitations are put on campaigning, and when you just choose to not follow them, and not even you come out and say hey, we screwed up, we're sorry, but that hasn't happened either. So we'll see if anything comes of that. I would imagine that maybe his primary contestants would be most likely to try and levy something against him. So we'll see if Don Huffines can pull into his bag of tricks.
Yeah.
And make something happen.
Yeah. And then Alan West was the other guy?
Alan West.
They make it, people make it I guess I'm only reading headlines at this point on that topic, but it's not like Governor Abbott is going to have to compete before you can get the primary.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think it'll be probably his most competitive primary that he's had. But at the same time, when you've been an incumbent for this long, I don't know if you have so much to worry about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and go into the next one. Again, we don't have a big story because we just felt like there's a lot of little stories. So we're just hitting like a couple things. So let's go ahead and move into the UNT Health Science Center, TCU kind of thing. Basically what happened here is TCU and UNT Health Science Center is supposed to be making we're supposed to be making a med school together. The agreement details of the institutions, I guess, didn't end up working out, and they are not working together anymore. There's going to be some involvement in the sense of like paying for services, which it seems interesting, but branding wise, it's just now TCU's kind of medical school. The Star Telegram got access to a 14-page separation agreement. The two says that they have agreed on this for a long time before announcing it, and a lot of people are comparing it to like Texas Wesleyan and Texas A&M. It's to me interesting that what I wonder what's happening. Again, maybe I'm thinking, did Texas A&M announcing North A&M like make a difference? What made the difference? It seems like we talked about off the pod, that there's just a lot they're not telling us.
Yeah, it seems like maybe it would when
this is good for TCU.
Yeah, I think it's good for TCU. When the story initially dropped, it was like, oh yeah, we're mutually parting ways.
Yeah.
But then after like a day or two, Star Telegram and Fort Worth Report published articles that more alluded to maybe it wasn't as happy-go-lucky as it originally sounded. But I think there is a lot to say about like the medical school wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the collaboration between the two. I guess now TCU will be paying UNT Health Science Center for use of their facilities, whereas that was just kind of provided as part of their agreement. So essentially, TCU has to pay rent now.
Yep. They will lease 60,000 square feet of space, $180,250 a month, and then plus maintenance, plus security fees. It's a total of nearly $225,000 per month.
So a pretty big check.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like overall, I think it's hard to know from like an outsider's point of view, like what the implication of this is, if really any, or if things just kind of go on as normal as they had been. But like the collaboration together brought the medical school to Fort Worth, and yeah, I mean now TCU gets to brand this as their own medical school versus kind of splitting the fame.
And they also mentioned the potential of UNT Health Science Center bringing a DO school, so it could even maybe lead to more opportunity for medical scholars to show up to Fort Worth. I mean, I feel like the innovation play in Texas is this whole discussion of this medical hub, which is near the, bio research that is happening, and because those things are together, innovation and new products and services and ways of doing things is possible. So surely needs to be a lot of alignment still from both parties to keep Fort Worth, I guess, innovative if they currently are our like medical bio hub of North Texas.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, while we're talking about education, let's move to one of the bigger announcements of the week, and that is that Fort Worth ISD Superintendent Kent Scribner announced that he plans to retire at the end of his contract, which runs through August 31st, 2024. I mean, this is a major player stepping down. We've also had Dallas ISD is looking for high-ranking officials. I think Richardson ISD is. Colleyville ISD, I believe.
Yep.
Like, North Texas as a whole is having superintendents and high-ranking officials dropping like flies, and I can't blame them. Like, you've got a bunch of people peddling this like anti-critical race theory garbage, making personal attacks against you. Like, I wouldn't. He gets paid $330,000 a year. That's not enough for me. I would, if you offer that to me, I would be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So he wanted to announce this now to give time to help with the transition and with the selection of the next superintendent, and help the school board there. But I mean, this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And this is, as someone who's working in education right now, I think this is, to me, been the hardest week of education, simply because the writing is on the wall.
Yeah.
Meaning you're having teacher shortages. I mean, at this rate, if we keep this up with the teacher capacity, you will not be able to go 5 days a week as a school because you don't have enough teachers a few years from now.
Yeah.
Principals are resigning. Yeah, this is everywhere. So it's a tough time, but I think it's also like we're going to see the history of education as COVID and the pandemic being a monumental moment. And the consequences is, the students are going to have to be the guinea pigs of the transition of whatever happens.
Yeah.
And so then you, like you said, you add the politics, you add the parents. We're just, the stress of just running a successful school today. You're having schools across the country requesting to go virtual, not because of safety, because of capacity. They're like, we ain't got enough teachers. We just need like 2 weeks to figure this out. Focus on hiring, focusing on infrastructure. You got schools in Austin saying, hey, parents, we need substitute teachers. Don't need the 30 hours of classroom time to become one. Just hop on in.
Yeah, basically. I think North Texas has been doing that too.
Yeah.
Just show up. If you have a high school degree and like can be in the classroom,
you don't even
today,
need that anymore. You just show up.
Yeah,
You breathe. Show up. So that's all hard. What I would massively want is Fort Worth ISD's next leader to be either, a woman of color, a woman, a person of color. I think Fort Worth Public Schools desperately need a leadership that looks like the students and will advocate for the students and fight. And I'm not saying that Scribner didn't, but I just think it's really time for something like that, to be a voice in Fort Worth and assist there. Because I also think like a lot of this is annoying because like Betsy Price threw him under the bridge and stuff like that. I'm like working with education and kids is the hardest thing out there. It's and the reason why is because the asset is like a human being, and the variable on a human being is who knows what can happen, right? Like,
yeah,
you have, oil is oil. Oil don't got emotions. Oil don't got like trauma. It don't got, a house, real estate. It doesn't have. So you have all these business people talking about how a school's not optimized and not functioning like the private sector, but it's like your assets are very, very much more stable and consistent compared to the assets of an education like district.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's no rule to like make a successful kid. Like we haven't figured that out. And then, how do we assist kids and all the things they're going through? So I just get so annoyed when people talk mess on, teachers who are the greatest people out there, like doing the thing. So we'll see. But it's happening all over. For my business, definitely exciting to see new blood in the sense of innovation is more possible. When you get new minds, fresh minds, odds are younger educators are moving up. A lot of exciting stuff there from our angle.
Yeah. I just think like a lot of people that I've seen a number of people working in education praise what Scribner was doing in the district. Yep. But then you have people like Betsy coming in and undermining what he's doing, turning it like shooting him down, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh yeah, you're doing a terrible job. I thought
but her whole 10-year thing was bragging about how good education was.
Yeah.
So let me brag about how good education was when reading, her reading thing really didn't do that much. Because that's a very hard thing to fix.
Right.
Again,
right.
I'm not going to knock attempts because it's just a very hard thing to accomplish. But then you're going to now talk trash on education and the leader and saying he's not fit for leadership. It's like,
yeah, and I mean, I know better than to open the Star Telegram's editorials. I know they're just going to make me frustrated. I know that I hate them. Like, I know I hate reading them, but I did it anyways. And they're talking about like parental neglect being like the biggest factor in like Fort Worth ISD struggling, but like don't talk about like, hey, this is how what could we be doing to address that? It's just so much of like, one, Fort Worth ISD is like 85% black and brown.
yeah.
You're saying that parental neglect is the reason that Fort Worth ISD is lagging in many ways. We're seeing this exodus of anybody that can to walk away from Fort Worth ISD, and we're like dropping that on the superintendent. Like, yeah, he's trying to set vision and steer the ship, but if the community's just walking away from him, then like we're just leaving him on the Titanic. We took all the lifeboats. We left him on the Titanic and said, enjoy the iceberg.
Yep.
And just the way that that was written and came across to me was very sort of jarring and harsh, in that you're just going to say that Fort Worth ISD parents are bad, and that's why the district is doing bad. And there's so much loaded into that statement in a racist and socioeconomically disadvantaged way that I was really put off by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not parent, what was the word he used? Parent what?
Parental neglect.
Parental neglect. It's parental capacity in the sense of, right, like Colleyville kids, Keller kids. What is the multiple on how many more kids has a one parent at home?
Right.
What is the percentage of parents who can take off in the middle of the day? Right. Yeah. And so that is another reason why I think parents who have resources and can do that stuff, they kind of able to use that opportunity or asset to support when other parents don't have capacity. But when you have everyone who has that ability, go to Keller, go to Alito, then, then the district needs to figure out how to provide free breakfast. They need to provide after school stuff, and that capacity gets breaking when it's already trying to solve just during the school day. It gets difficult. But no, I did not read that. I never read the editorials of the Star Telegram.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I'm mad that I gave it a click. Like now they like saw that somebody
like the story.
Yeah,
they're gonna keep doing it for you.
Yeah, exactly. But that'll be the other piece of this that I think is interesting is when you've got these other major school districts in the same geographical area also vying for top candidates. What is attractive about Fort Worth ISD that's going to bring the top candidate in here versus them going to Dallas, Richardson, Colleyville, etc., whoever else decides to retire in the coming couple of years? So I think that also potentially puts Fort Worth in a tough spot where, like, are we the problem child? Is Fort Worth ISD the problem child of the North Texas area school districts? And, like, who wants to make that their first choice. Maybe there is somebody that is saying like, no, that's what I want to go in and try and fix. But I don't know. It could be like Fort Worth could be vying for the 4th or 5th candidate down the line, which is also a tough position to be in when we're saying that we really need to get this hire right.
Yeah. Well, you know, Michael Hinojosa was a great superintendent for Dallas, but a lot of that, he's from there. His identity's there. It's a part of his part of it being great was that community fit. I feel like this is why I'm less worried about how senior someone is. If anything, I'd even take a younger person, you know, and again, a person of color and someone who like is from the area, like who's been working in the district. I don't know who's for candidates at this point, but yeah. I just, education to me just takes people who not just love, you know, education, but they love the area that they're in. They love the community. It's already difficult as a person if you got to move your family. You got to make sure your family enjoys this place, and then you're working in a city you don't actually like. It was just a good promotion. Yeah. Whoever gets it needs to really love Fort Worth and love what it's trying to become. I think that's probably would be a kicker if I was interviewing anyone, if that mattered.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. And probably, hopefully, top of the priority list for the trustees as they have to start working on making this decision.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's interesting too. The Board of Trustees now likely won't be the same as in 2024. So kind of interesting that we'll still have another election to go. And that'll probably be top on voters' mind of the people that we're electing to these seats are going to be the ones choosing our next superintendent. So another interesting wrinkle that'll come up in the next school board election.
Yep.
So moving on, last story that we're covering is that the Fort Worth Arts Coalition has bought the former KKK building off of North Main Street to open the Fred Rouse Center for the Arts and Community Healing, named in honor of the Black Stockyards worker and Fort Worth resident lynched 100 years ago by a white mob. This is something that had been talked about for a while, but they announced Tuesday that they are officially purchasing that former KKK meeting hall to transform it into a state-of-the-art cultural hub to offer space for art exhibition, service for LGBTQ youth, meeting spaces for workshops and community events, and an outdoor market promoting urban farming and local artists. I'm super excited for this. Like, I think this is an awesome use of that space. It's doing something to try and connect downtown to the stockyards more, provide something else in that area. I just think it all around, it's a win for the city.
Yeah. I don't know how eerie it feels today walking into the building. I've never been in it, but it seems like it's going to take a lot of creative intentionality, because personally I have no interest in walking into a building where KKK people were talking. Who knows what the hell they were talking. And I don't know if, like, you know, you ever been in like a haunted house or like where places were ghosts and you just feel like, why would I, like, those don't get me excited. I like that kind of freaks me out. And so I just don't know how old it is or how, if it feels sketchy or creepy. But yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome that they're doing something about it. And I think what you just said about connecting the downtown to Cowtown is smart, to the stockyards. And I think Fort Worth is doing all the right moves to be a cultural hub for Black tourism, right? You get Juneteenth. They talked about the African American Museum. We talked about that, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now you add this. Yeah, I think this is all good stuff.
Yeah.
Now start developing the east side and the south side, where the history is at.
Yeah.
Of black success, not black trauma. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. And I'm also like, this is a building that was scheduled to be demolished in 2019.
Yeah, I remember.
So
that.
like this, along with the Cielo apartments, like that's two old buildings that are being given new life, as opposed to just being torn down to be turned into whatever. So another big win for preservation of Fort Worth's history and using it as an opportunity to tell the story and bring life to an area that has, and a building specifically that has really revolved around inequality and death.
By the way, you see, Luke Ranker wrote this story. I have a Luke Ranker story on Star
Oh, really?
Telegram.
Well, this one, the one from this week is by Harrison.
Oh, wait. I'm looking at a July 6th. Okay, I was like, I just looked at I have a couple tabs open.
Yeah, it's come like, I think since 2019, like every 5 or 6 months, something has come up. So it's made possible by a grant from the Rainwater Charitable Foundation, along with support of the nonprofits DNA Works, LGBTQ Saves, the Opal Lee Foundation, SOL, Ballet Folklorico, Tarrant County Coalition for Peace and Justice, the Wellman Project, Window to Your World, and the 1012 Youth Council. All awesome organizations in the city.
Rainwater has been doing, that's a big foundation, and I feel like they've been doing their thing and trying to figure out how to be more just and equitable. Shout out to them making those attempts.
Yeah.
Strategically as the things they invest in. It's been really exciting to see them make it a priority.
Yeah, I agree. You ready to move into wins and losses?
Let's make it happen, man.
My loss, I'll call this loss false hope. So there's an announcement this week that Canadian Pacific supports an Amtrak expansion along the I-20 corridor that would connect Atlanta to DFW. And while that would be awesome and super cool, I just feel like anything around public transportation or long distance rail that comes up in relation to Fort Worth always is a might or a maybe or a we'll see. Like it never feels like there's anything concrete around it. And so saw this article. It was like, yeah, that's cool, but like I'm not going to hold my breath over it, which to me felt like a loss that I'm in a pessimistic place of anytime I see something around better connecting Fort Worth both within itself and to other areas. I'm just look at it like, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Would be cool though.
It would be awesome.
Yep.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. My loss is, and it's a loss because I probably don't know the full story, but, and honestly, it's probably not that big of a loss, but I needed a loss this week. All right, people. City Council okays Will Rogers catering agreement, to, have the caterer be a Arizona-based craft and culinary concept LLC to provide food and beverage concession services at the Will Rogers Memorial Center. The contract is a 10-year agreement. And I guess for me, the loss here is based off of and the information that we have it's just why can't a local company just do it? I just feel like that's the thing, like a 10-year commitment to an Arizona company that serves food. Surely we serve food as well. Like it's not like there's like something that they have that we don't, like I just don't get why we couldn't have had it be a local based person, to provide concession. Heck, even it'd be awesome if it was a minority owned, catering business, even sweeter. So that was my loss.
I've got another loss. This was published 20 minutes ago.
Breaking news.
ERCOT says staffing shortages have them struggling to meet grid reliability deadlines. Regardless of what Governor Abbott might have peddled once or twice, we know that nothing was actually done in this legislative session to fix our grid problems. Here's just another tick in that.
It shows 65 job openings on January 13th. 25 of them are for engineers. 19 are information and technology jobs. The rest of the posted jobs included 19 corporate positions, a compliance manager, and a system operator. Kind of hard to have a system if you don't got an operator, you know?
The PUC Public Utilities Commission chairman in this article says, "Hope is not a strategy. Hoping it's in place by next winter is not the path we're going to go down." So seems like at this point they're saying, we hope that we'll make things happen. We hope that we can fix things. So, doesn't make me too optimistic. It was pretty cold this weekend.
It was.
So hopefully we just don't get another epic snowstorm this year and have to actually face the consequences of our state government's lack of action around this. But yeah, just had that pop up on the Twitter. So thought I'd throw that in there too.
Good stuff. Yeah. And yeah, it was cold. It was windy. And I live in an old house, so all the cracks in our doors was just making it cold.
Oh man, we're just rolling. Alan West just tweeted that Texas has an Islamic jihadist issue, especially North Texas. So yeah, our conversation about Islamophobia earlier. Looks like the Texas GOP is going to use this event as for what? Like, what do you gain out of this? You know, you don't gain anything. Like this, yeah.
But
disgusting.
And Chief Noakes said that there will be more support around Islamic churches and as well as synagogues in Fort Worth. I think they did it after Dallas did it, and so they were like, we can't look bad, but they did do it. Like they were going to provide additional support, just for any reactions or something. And now Alan West is putting fuel on the fire.
Yeah, this is one of the guys running for governor to try and beat Abbott for governor. Greg hasn't said anything like this yet, so I guess that's a check mark in his column. But yeah, man, the losses are stacking up. I should get off the internet. Let's move to wins.
Yeah.
My win is that the Amon Carter Museum on Thursday announced its 2022 exhibition schedule, which features major surveys organized by the Carter as well as nationally touring exhibitions. Fort Worth Magazine's website has this article, a ton of really awesome and very diverse collections coming to the museum. I'm super excited for it. Definitely a number of these that I will be going out of my way to visit. But I think our museums are awesome, and they continue to provide really high quality and diverse content that makes me appreciate having them here more and more.
Love it. Mine, I'm kind of staying in the business lane. Green Bay Packaging to build new super plant in Texas. Obviously, we know where the Green Bay packaging facility is by Miller going south. But they're looking to begin construction on a new 600,000 square feet plant in Fort Worth. Construction on the site is set to begin the first quarter of 2022, and startup operations scheduled for the second quarter of 2023. They've been a part of Fort Worth for 50 years. Fort Worth does a great job at retaining and expanding their businesses. We just don't do a good job at recruiting or starting businesses. But that was a win from an economic level of hopefully, that brings new jobs as well and new opportunity for people.
Yeah, going from 2,000 square feet or 200,000 square feet to 600,000 square feet's a big jump. So right in Fort Worth's alley of manufacturing and warehousing. So yeah, definitely a cool thing.
Well, we did it. We hit 45 minutes, and that was a good run. I feel like we hit a lot of different stuff. I feel like Jimmy was on fire today, and thank you for being you, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me over every week. Yeah, be safe, everyone. The positive thing that I'm seeing nationally is that Omicron looks to be peaking, but we've got the stock show and rodeo happening right now. So if you're going to any of those events, be safe. If you're going to see anybody in the week after going to one of those events, let them know, be courteous enough to have the disclosure of, hey, I went and sat in an arena with 10,000 people for a few hours. And Hamilton starts this week after 2 years of being delayed at Bass Hall. So lots of cool things happening in the city, but remember to wear your N95s and communicate with people that you're going to hang out with so that everyone can make the smart decision for themselves. But be safe. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Control your life. Dopamine swipe. Dopamine swipe. Follow us like double tap. Now they control your life. Control your life.